effort on goal.
He's playing with confidence. Searches it inside 50.
Inside 50, good hands.
Drilling it into centre half forward. That was end-to-end football at its best.
Back-to-back goals either side of quarter time.
But it's done with the Bulldogs.
I'd fight somebody for you. There ain't no wall I wouldn't run through. In your corner when they're ringing the bell. Come hell or high water. I'd fight somebody for you.
Yes, g'day Waffle fans. Welcome one and all to another exciting edition of Around the Waffle for your Monday night after another drunk weekend. Let me just say that. It was another drunk weekend of football with shock results aplenty. Plenty of thrillers, especially in the Waffle W. And of course at Bassendean and the Waffle over the weekend. And we'll recap all those games in more detail across the show. It's all thanks to our fine folks at Front Row Screen Sports, Sullivan Logistics, Grants Car Stereo and District Promotions. My name's Paul Persick. Great to have your company watching on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts on the go on this wet and windy Monday night here in the West. And alongside me, hoping that he is all right for this show after Saturday afternoon's chaotic finish for the Subiaco Perth game. Ethan Rothy, how are you? And have you caught your breath yet?
Yeah, just in the nick of time, Paul. Nah, obviously in the end I did. It was a thrilling finish in the end, and Perth won for the first time over the Subiaco in their short history. So yeah, look forward to recapping that as well as the other fixtures on to here on the show.
We'll also have our top three plays of the week as well as the player of the year votes in both the Waffle and the Waffle W. We've got Jaiden Hunter from Claremont joining us in just a little bit to chat about their loss to Perth on the weekend. And later on, Shannyn Pomersbach, South Fremantle's match winner against West Perth in the Waffle W. She'll have a chat to us about that goal and a win that could set them up for a place in the top four come August. But before we get into business, Rothy, massive news surrounding Claremont earlier today. Before this recording, it was reported that Juliet Kelly had signed with the Adelaide Crows as an injury replacement player. That report was proven correct today. Juliet Kelly is off to the City of Churches.
Yeah, so great for her. Obviously, missed out on the pre-season draft and last year's draft as well. But yeah, more than deserves the opportunity. Obviously, ball magnet here and played in the state game as well. And have no doubt that she'll adapt if given the opportunity at an early stage. But nonetheless, to make it onto all this is a great achievement. Obviously hurts Claremont's team a little bit, but they'll be thrilled that she gets an opportunity at the top level.
It certainly is well-deserved. Congratulations to Juliet Kelly, of course, playing with the Adelaide Crows in this coming season of AFLW football. It won't hurt Claremont too much, I'll feel, because they still have got incredible depth in midfield. They've got plenty of ball magnets in their best team. Speaking of Claremont, while they did win in the women's clash with Peel Thunder on Saturday, their men's team didn't do so well, but they do have the capabilities of bouncing back after the bye. But Saturday's loss to Perth certainly spawned a lot of questions around the Tigers. But Jaiden Hunter, he's kicked nearly 30 goals in 9 games this season. He had a bag of 3 in the loss to the Demons, and he's been good enough to join us to kick off today's show here on Around the Waffle. Jaiden, how are you, mate? Thanks for joining us.
Good, mate. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Great to have you on the show. It'll be too harsh to say that the Tigers have gone off the boil because, we've still got a long way to go. But after that loss on Saturday, would it be fair to say that there is going to be more questions in the next week or so heading into the bye because you've got a big stretch of games coming up afterwards?
Yeah, I think externally that's probably pretty natural when, I think we went 6-0 or whatever and, we dropped a couple of games in the last month. I think that's probably a bit of a natural reaction from the media. I wouldn't say it's too harsh to say we've gone off the boil either. I think we haven't got some of our processes right in some of the games and, the competition's so even, like we're coming up against pretty good teams as well. I think we're a bit of the hunted at the moment. So, it's I think it's pretty natural, that reaction. I think bye's coming at a pretty good time for us to reset and bounce back, I guess.
And how will you attack that bye? You just mentioned it there, probably a good time for it to come and reset, I guess, looking at it, going at it for chunks of the season rather than, looking too far ahead, breaking away for the second half.
I guess I think the bye's a bit more individual based with us and in our program. I think a few guys probably need a bit of a spell off legs and get their bodies right. I'm sure some guys will go away and, I think Ash will still be driving standards. We'll still be training pretty hard. I don't think anything really changes, but I'm sure it'll be a bit more tailored with the opportunity with the week off for some guys to get their bodies right and get their programs right.
I was at the ground covering the game for this show and felt at quarter time, Perth looked a lot more prepared than in past clashes with the Tigers. Did you feel the same after quarter time, especially after that 6-1 start?
I wouldn't say they were more prepared. We prepare the same for every game. So, I guess kind of when you get brained in the contest a bit and you cough up a few goals, it's pretty natural to look second rate, I guess. And I think we gave them too much space and too much time. I think one of their forwards kicked 3 or 4 or whatnot in the first quarter. So obviously we're going to look second rate if we're giving up 5-goal leads.
And how do you feel like your own game's coming on? Obviously, you kicked 7 goals a couple of weeks back and then a further 3. I know forwards don't just rate themselves off goals kicked, but it must feel like your own game's in pretty good order towards the back up as you approach the back half of the year.
Yeah, I guess it's nice to kick a few goals and put some through the sticks, but I think with my career, it's more the last couple of years I've just been trying to get continuity in my body. I think I missed so much football from 18 to 22 or whatnot. It's just about trying to play each week and get up each week. I've had to tinker a lot with, everything to do with my body, and you look externally at diet and whatnot and everything. It's just trying to find a good balance between being obsessive and still enjoying football whilst also getting back on the park. I think I've got a pretty good mix at the moment, and I've been lucky enough to play. I played 15 games last year. I missed a couple with a freak injury and a couple of concussions and whatnot. But this year I've been lucky enough to play every game bar one, minus the suspension. So I've been pretty happy with my year, I guess, from a continuity standpoint. I think performance-wise, I know I'm good enough, and I'll look after what I need to look after. It's just trying to contribute to a winning team and, trying to get on the park each week.
No doubt you back up those words with goals. You've kicked 10 goals in the last 2 games since you've returned from suspension as well. You talked about the continuity, and one more before we let you go. Continuity is going to be the big key, isn't it, after the bye? Because after the results of the last 2 weeks, it opens up the competition. It's really close, and the pressure's certainly going to be on those top teams like yourself, Peel Thunder and Perth to really present a bit of a gap to the rest of the sides in the 5.
Yeah, like I said, it's such an even competition. We dropped that game to West Coast to they were 3 and 5 at the time when we played them. I think it's I think anyone's day they can really get it done, but continuity is so important, especially with the group and the 23 that we put out on the park each week. We've been pretty unlucky that some guys are really gritted through the last couple of weeks, which has been huge for us, and they've still played like it hasn't affected them. But we've also missed a couple of guys through injury. We missed Max Manier and Anthony Davis, who missed through injury. One of our young fellas, Samson Jennings Hopkins, missed against Perth just before our previous bye. It's just trying to get continuity with our list and with our 23 each week, so we can put the best team on the park to win games.
Not the best result on Saturday, but I'm sure that your side will bounce back after the bye. Thanks so much for joining us, Jaiden. All the very best, and you're having a great season so far. All the best for the rest of it.
Thanks, Jaiden.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jaiden. Jaiden Hunter joining us from the Claremont Football Club off the back of their loss to the Demons. And, I like the fact that he doesn't change his approach. Claremont been a bit, sort of up and down in the last month or so. 3 losses out of their last 4. But, they're not changing their approach because they've got great standards. And, they've got to live up to that, if they want to, be a contender for the premiership once again. Yeah,
against his old side as well. So it wouldn't have been too good of a feeling. I know they've obviously versed a few times since then, either side of, being an Essendon player on their list. So, they'll hopefully bounce back. They're at the top of the ladder for a reason. So, sometimes these aren't the worst things as well throughout the middle of the year, rather that happen now than, the pointy stage.
But we'll break down what did go wrong for Claremont on Saturday after the break here on Around the Waffle. Of course, our Round 10 recap, an abbreviated recap because we only had the 3 games on the Saturday. And, of course, we'll take a look at all of them in detail and cast the Player of the Year votes. It is all thanks to the fine folks at District Promotions, Front Row Screen Sports, Sullivan Logistics and Grant's Car Stereo Morley. More to come right after this.
Take it from me, great things happen at the Waffle.
Valentine Roads and goals.
With free entry for kids, future stars on the ground, and a kick to kick at every break. The Waffle is where footy memories start and legends are made. Follow the Waffle on socials or get to a game.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Car Stereo Morley, proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years, selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems, stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley, or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
You're back with us here on Around the Waffle, your Monday recap show. A slightly abbreviated recap show because of the shortened amount of games that we've got across the weekend, but still a great insight and information for all you wonderful Waffle fans, young and old, that go to the football week in, week out. Paul Persick and Ethan Roth with you for your Monday night recap. As we start things off, Rothy, at the Good Grocer Park, East Fremantle and West Perth, both teams were off a high after the Derby wins the week before, but it was East Fremantle that showed their class everywhere around the ground to record a 26-point win over West Perth. 16-15, 111 to 13-7, 85. And again for the Sharks, it was the Liam Robinson show.
Yeah, he's really adapted well to Waffle footy. We've said that a couple of times now, but bag of 5, which, yeah, he contributed, had 7 scoring shots, and Tyler Keitel, they're going back and forth at either end. But, yeah, I guess Liam Robinson, with a win, can say that, he was the prime forward up there for the game, but also more specifically East Fremantle.
The forward line looked more versatile. It was going to be which forward line was going to be the more effective, and East Fremantle have got more versatility up that forward line. You talk about Robinson. You also had Griffin Vladic who kick a bag of 5 as well. He's adapting as well. He kicked a bag last time these two sides met in round 20, and West Perth's back line still had nightmares about him, make no mistake about that. 5 goals. But I thought the most impressive player for me was Cam Erdley. I thought he was brilliant. Usually he's, around that half-back area. He plays that sole key half-back, but he's evolved into the midfield. He's played a great role down the middle with Billy Monahan experimenting with his side. And Erdley's been more classy play when going into the midfield. Usually he's the rugged half-back, but he's got more class in his game now that he's in the middle.
Yeah, he's extremely versatile, isn't he? He can go into the mid, can go down back, but he just has that rebounding ability, has a long leg on him, and so experienced, isn't he? You're hard to find a player who's more experienced really in the whole competition than Cam Erdley. 33 disposal as an inclusion as well. He's been a bit in and out, and obviously he's towards the latter stage with Chris. You can't expect that every week, but turn back the clock if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with winding back the clock for a player of his age, but he's growing in versatility as Cameron Erdley at the twilight stages of his career, if you will, but he's going to keep on going, no doubt about that. Don't take anything away from West Perth, though, because they put in a good fight. They didn't let the margin balloon out to beyond 5 goals. When East Fremantle got a bit of a push on, they got a bit of a cushion, West Perth fought back. And, Keitel, 5 goals, a couple of goals, as you mentioned, 5 from 16 disposals and 11 marks. Meadows showed his true class again with 22. Guadagnon with 24, but it did go down his way a lot more in that first half when they trailed by 5 goals. Nelson and Bevan again just showing why they're the best players in the West Perth lineup. Bevan again proving why the AFL selectors did not look carefully enough in the mid-season draft. But I just think West Perth just lacked that polish. They came off that high in the Derby win and, it hasn't really worn off. But, they were competitive, but they just didn't have enough class in the end.
Yeah, they didn't. Good to see Riley Sprigg hit the scoreboard as well with 3 goals, as well as Corey Rundle. They had a better performance than last year when they went down there. I know it's obviously a different season. You don't want to compare, and you don't want to compare losses. But, yeah, it's a tough place to play. And yeah, we know West Perth, coming off that high against East Perth, it was probably always going to be a challenge, especially away from home. But I thought that they lost no admirers, especially with a young group.
Yeah, it is a very young group in that side. You had Matthew McKenzie, 20 hit-outs in the ruck, Cohen Livingston with 26. So they showed their fight against the likes of Luke Stranaka for East Fremantle in that ruck battle. Aaron Black, 15, obviously below his lofty standards, the 300-plus game veteran. But they lost no fight. They lost no admirers, West Perth. But East Fremantle just have a few more effective weapons in midfield and up forward. Joyce over 20 disposals. Harrison Marsh, since his return, he's come back strong as well. Lockie Bailey and also Jack Cleaver, who laid down 10 tackles to go with his 22 possessions. Cleaver, dare I say it, he's having a career season.
2 goals as well.
Yeah.
He's playing with maturity beyond his years, still just 21, 22 years of age. So, he's really driving that midfield the whole way and giving them a chance, to push for finals.
He's certainly making the most of it as East Fremantle continue their push for a spot in the 5 under Billy Monahan. 26 points the margin over a gallant West Perth. And then we go over to Revo Fitness Stadium where for the first time in 6 years, Perth defeated Claremont in Claremont. And I was there at that game. Claremont, by the way, 14-7-91 to Perth 17-6-108. On this day, Perth, the new Perth, well and truly arrived.
Yeah, it's a good call to make. And obviously they had, I guess, mini scars losing that final last year at the same place. I know they've, it's, again, a new season, don't want to compare too much. But, yeah, their leaders really showed up. Not their, I guess, most prime games in terms of like ball winning ability on a tough overcast day, but I thought the likes of Parfitt, Constable, Davis, Taylor really led the way, and they didn't have career games, but it was more so what they did with those disposals, set up the players further afield.
I was very impressed with the younger boys in particular. I thought they stood up to the task. You don't just want to be relying on your experienced players to stand up to the task against a very experienced and talented side like Claremont, but I thought the younger players like Peyton, who kicked 5 goals, including 3 in the first half in a massive early burst that caught the Claremont backline off guard and were exposed with the absence of Davis and also Mania as well, who had a bad hamstring tear and he's ruled out for the rest of the season according to coach Ash Prescott. But the experienced players as well, you've got to give them their due because they stand up when it mattered the most. Once again, Constable, Davis and Josh Edwards in the ruck with 23. On the subject of Josh Edwards, I spoke with him post-game. Here's what he had to say about the, quote, new Perth message that they wrote on the whiteboard before the match.
More of an attitude thing more than anything. I kind of touched on it before in regards to the fourth quarter. And when the game's close, we fold and give it away. That's the old Perth. So we don't do that anymore, and that was kind of the message leading into today.
Well, I think he summed it up very well. It's the new Perth. They've got that greater capacity to not throw away games against quality opposition. In the past, they weren't able to stitch up the game in the fourth quarter, but this time they certainly did, and against high-quality opposition.
Yeah, you only have to go back to that Swan Districts game where they, potentially learnt some of those lessons and really came home the other way. So, yeah, a lot of these players, stood up, the likes of Luke Howlett in his second game of footy, further development for the likes of Baxter Phillip as well. We know what Riley Wills has come to be at the WAFL level, Freddie Brayshaw as well. So these young guys who maybe haven't had sort of the scars of the past, maybe that's really benefiting now because they can sort of have a fresh run at it.
Looking at these this win here for Perth, I think it's one of their most significant wins since last year's elimination final and round 9 of 2020 when they broke their 23-year finals hoodoo. This is a win that it's going to mean a lot in long term to the Perth Football Club. There is a lot of great faces. The team morale there is so good at the moment, you'd expect them to go on a big run in the next month.
Yeah, and maybe this game didn't have the stakes attached to it, but that doesn't take away from comparing it to those big games of the past. So yeah, it's exciting times to be a Demons fan, and highlighted by a big win against the top of the ladder led team.
Speaking of the top of the ladder Tigers, what did go wrong? Well, the first quarter for starters, they were often second to the ball too much, and their backline was well and truly exposed. Without Davis and Mania, there goes 2 of your key pillars in that defensive 50, and that exposes the backline. And they were very vulnerable in that first half when Lockie Payton let loose, and then in the last quarter where Aaron Clark was shut down for most of the game, he went on and kicked 3 goals to really stitch things up. But having said that, I thought again Alvarez was brilliant. England again nearly 30 disposals, but they didn't have a lot of support. They were the only 2 players to go above 20 disposals. Ever since that first quarter, they were playing catch-up football. We knew they would come back, but that 6-goal to 1 start left them a bit rattled, and they were always playing catch-up throughout the day.
Yeah, of course, it's always going to impact your team when those key cogs defensively aren't there. But Claremont, you don't want to refer to finals and whatnot too much, but they have sort of, I guess you could throw around that term choke in the past, and it's not obviously September just yet, so you want to maybe get these results out of the way if you are going to, let them slip. But, I think they'll be fine for the run, Claremont. I think they'll learn their lessons, and, I think speaking to Jaiden Hunter as well, they're not too fast, and they realise themselves how tough this competition is.
They certainly
against
do.
Any given side.
Well, they need to show that in wins straight after the bye, because 3 out of their last 4 losses, not usually a good time at the middle of the season, and all of them, in fact, at home. So now sides are starting to work out, I'd say, how to play Claremont in Claremont. And we've seen that with East Perth, the West Coast Eagles, and now the Demons. But what a win that was for Perth. 17 points in the end at Revo Fitness Stadium, their first win in 6 years. And then we go to Steel Blue Oval. Oh, I thought one close result between the Swans and the Eagles was enough. We now had two. The West Coast Eagles spoiling Doc Blakely's farewell by 7 points, 14-12 to 13-11. This game had nothing in it all day. Certainly one of the games of the year.
Yeah, it was, and building a little bit of a modern rivalry, these two teams, in terms of recent games, and the Eagles on the side of the ledger that they were after. So, they come back from behind victory when you consider that they were down at quarter time, and they got the momentum on their terms that they want, the way they wanted to. So the Eagles they're building a bit of belief, and who knows, they could be a bit of a dark horse now. They've had enough wins that we can sort of see them being a bit more what they have in the past.
I think they are contenders. I think they are contenders for a spot in the 5 because they can beat sides the likes of Claremont, Subiaco, Swan Districts, and they even challenged East Perth for a time, but they got overrun in the end. And they've got the balance between the AFL players and the top-up players handled a lot better. I reckon that this is the best year that they've had in balancing that act out, especially with Matt Flynn, who's getting closer for an AFL call-up. 40 hit-outs. What more does he have to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Obviously, they've had really good success with the likes of Bailey Williams at the top level, and AFL speaking for itself, even though they haven't got the results they've been after at the top level in the last couple of weeks. But, I don't think it's the worst problem to have these guys firing form, and a lot of it just comes down to availability, as simple as it sounds.
It's a good selection headache for Kyle Horsley and his coaching staff. I'll tell you another player that had one of his best games of the year, Tyrell Dewar. Usually up in the midfield, he was put up forward by Kyle Horsley, and he repaid that faith with 4 great goals.
Yeah, and that's his natural position, isn't it? We know that was where he was drafted as.
That's right.
He's been thrown back behind the ball with pretty good success. Started his AFL, journey in that position pretty well, but he's almost been a bit forgotten about, hasn't he? Like he's sort of
always goes under the radar.
He's contracted he signed a reasonable contract as well, so he's not by any means on the fringe in terms of how the club sees him. But sometimes you go back to what you know best, and as a forward, Tyrell Dewar stepped up to the plate.
He certainly did against the Swans back line that fought the good fight. They only conceded, obviously, the 96 points, but it was a very free-flowing game, and Swan Districts had their own weapons up forward as well, and they had a couple of players who kicked multiple goals. Lee Coleman with 2. But Brad Lynch, what a showing from him. That's also one of his best games of the year. He was able to be thrown up forward and be effective on the scoreboard. 4 goals, 1 from 12 touches.
Again, a guy who was on an AFL list once upon a time at Lesson Boyles, kicked 4 goals. Always also been a bit forgotten about, but the class is still there, and he's a real hybrid, isn't he? He can play mid, can play forward, and gives them something different, I guess. Him and likes of Will Reedy up there, who aren't typical key forwards, but have plenty of X factor to make up for it.
Reedy had 15 disposals, speaking of, and had 9 great tackles as well. Turner with 31 disposals, and Jackson McLaughlin with 21, and Bryce Watson effective off the half-back line with 23. And I think this loss for Swan Districts does their finals chances more harm than good, because they knew, and even we spoke with Andrew Prune, myself and Jordan McCardle on Thursday in our preview show, that they were prepared for a close encounter. They were, but they were on the wrong end of the result.
Yeah, they were, and I don't think they lost too many admirers, though. I think people recognise that how many AFL listed players the Eagles had, and Swan Districts would have backed themselves into win, but the likes of Hinchliffe really stepped up to the plate, Turner, Cipro, these typical guys up there. It's just a shame they couldn't, get the job done for Blakely's last game, but that, again, shouldn't take away from what a solid contributor he's been over a long period of time at the Mighty Black Ducks.
Absolutely, Nathan Blakely, Doc as he's affectionately known, retiring from the WAFL to pursue interests overseas. Emotional scenes after the game, hugging his little one and in tears. Obviously a career coming to an end, but what a great career it was. We do wish Nathan Blakely all the very best. I want to make a suggestion to WA football, because this rivalry, we've had so many close matches, we've been involved in a couple of them. Can we have them open the season on a Friday night next year? I mean, come on. It's a blockbuster game when you're looking at, the two teams, they're evenly matched in the WAFL. Can they open the season on a Friday night next year?
Yeah, it's not the worst call. I think there will always be that argument they're not West Coast isn't sort of a traditional club in that sense. Some of maybe the more traditional supporters wouldn't like that. But, you've got to obviously be open to these sort of ideas. So, if they continue on, maybe not next year, then it'll speak for itself in terms of these close matchups time after time.
7 points on Saturday and then 1 point on the Anzac Day. You can't get any closer than that. But that was a great game up at Bassendean and a great win to the West Coast Eagles, their second win over the Swans by 7 points. We're halfway there through the season. How has it gone so quickly? Round 10 is completed and the ladder looks like this. Claremont are on top, but there are 2 wins separating top down to 6th place. It is getting incredibly exciting. Peel Thunder in second, Perth up to third, East Perth in fourth. But the biggest losers of the round, South Fremantle, they're down to 5th on percentage, narrowly ahead of their rivals East Fremantle. Then West Coast on 20 points, Subiaco on 16, and Swan Districts and West Perth rounding out the bottom end of the ladder. Gee, it's a close competition, but so exciting.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that about South Fremantle a month or so ago, but it just shows you that other teams are coming after obviously they won the premiership last year. So hopefully for their sake, the bye does them a bit of time to push on for the remainder of the season.
They will return to action against West Perth on Saturday. We'll preview all that action on Thursday night here on Around the Waffle. Time for the votes. Now, with 3 games played on the weekend, there will be multiple incarnations of teams getting votes, so 2 players from the same team. And let's start things off with the Perth Demons. So 1 vote I gave to Matthew Taylor, the Silver Fox in the half-back line. Classy against a Claremont forward line that were put out of business. The Perth back line put the likes of Gowdy and DeLacy out of business. So much so to the point that they had to put Gowdy and DeLacy in midfield and in the back line in certain stints of the game. And Matthew Taylor really was the chief instigator behind that, showing his experience, getting over 20 disposals and earning himself 1 vote. 2 votes in a losing side, Clint Hinchcliffe, over 30 disposals for Swan Districts in that loss to the West Coast Eagles. And since coming over from the world of cricket, he's taken to waffle football like a duck to water. It's a common cliche, but he's playing some of his best football, no doubt about that, at this stage in the season. On the same game, Jack Williams also started, and I gave him 3 votes. And like Matt Flynn, he's pressing for an AFL recall, and he was in amongst the goals for the Eagles. So was Liam Robinson from East Fremantle. What a season he has had. Coming over from Norwood in South Australia, he's proven to be one of the more adaptable forwards in the WAFL. He got 4 votes. But we started the votes with a Perth player, and we're going to end the votes this week with a Perth player. The top gun for this week, Brendan Parfitt. Just class in midfield. He was ably supported by the likes of Constable, but I thought Parfitt's efforts, especially around the contested ball, were outstanding, especially when Claremont came back in the second and third quarter. The margin got to within a couple of goals, but Parfitt just did not stop trying. He never stopped putting his head down at the coalface. That was really one of his more gritty games that he's played. So he gets the 5 votes this week.
Yeah, and well deserved. So, a couple of Perth players, and they're highlighted by their win in the end, 17 points. So, it's anytime you score over 100 points as well against a team like Claremont, can't look past that high-scoring game, which is what you want to see, especially this winter time when we know conditions can do their thing.
And surprisingly, the rain held off on Saturday afternoon, but Parfitt, he adapted to it very well. And as a result, he's now in the top 10 of the Player of the Year votes after round 10. It's Jack Cleaver that's still in the lead on 11 votes, 1 vote ahead of Angus Scott and Bailey Rogers. Lockie Tardrew is in 4th, Parfitt up to 5th. Tom Gross in 6th place, and then rounding out the leaderboard, Charlie Dean, Hamish Brayshaw, Jarvis Peanut and Mitch Schofield. I'm going to put you on the hot seat, Rothy. Out of those 10, who do you think would be the favourites?
Look, honestly, I think Jack Cleaver is a bit of a sleeping giant. I know he's top of our leaderboard, but it'd be interesting to see how that stacks up with standard votes and the like. But I think Jack Cleaver, if he can continue on his form, he could be a good chance. Double digits already with a couple behind him.
Still 10 rounds to go. Still a lot can happen, and it's certainly the case in the WAFL W after another exciting weekend of WAFL W football. After the break, we'll have that. We'll also have Ethan's Colts report. Only 2 games taking place in the EGT WAFL Colts competition, and they were both hammerings, there's no doubt about that. It is all thanks to Grant's Car Stereo, Sullivan Logistics, Front Row Screens and District Promotions. This is our Monday night recap show. We'll have more coming to you right after the break.
Take it from me, great things happen at the Waffle.
Valentine rides and goals.
With free entry for kids, future stars on the ground, and a kick to kick at every break. The Waffle is where footy memories start and legends are made. Follow the Waffle on socials or get to a game.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Stereo Morley. Proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years. Selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems. Stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley. Or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
And you're back with us here on Around the Waffle. Paul Persing and Ethan Roth with you for your Monday night recap show. South Fremantle Shannyn Pomersbach is standing by to chat about their dramatic win over West Perth in the WAFL W on Saturday. But it's Colts report time, Rothy. 2 games as part of a big weekend. One of them was a smashing, the other was anything but.
Yeah, a couple of games. Obviously, under-18s championships took place as well, so that was sort of in this realm happening on Saturday as well. But in terms of Colts, Claremont with a 10-point win over Perth. Perth challenged them, but it was the likes of Charlie Bedbrook. How's this? 26 disposals, 24 hit-outs, and also 9 marks to match with it. He was a standout performer there. A couple of others as well. Finn Gunton, the losing side at 25 and 2 to be a standout for Perth. And then over at the Good Grosser Park, East Fremantle made a real statement. They had a couple of players who in the State 18 squad who didn't play in that game, so that freed them up to play Colts. Nate Scott in the leadership group had 35 disposals and a goal. He led the way as well, but Cassius Wall and Ben Wood combined for 7 goals in the forward line, which really set it up over a West Perth team that's been flying themselves. They'll be disappointed with that, but East Fremantle just reminding everyone after a couple of off weeks, with that derby and whatnot, that they're still around the mark in season 2026.
They are back on track, no doubt about that. The Sharks. Where does that leave the ladder after round 10 and the 2 games that were played? Yeah,
so Claremont's still sitting on top by a game. South Fremantle and East Fremantle making up the top 3, and then West Perth and Swan Districts. Swan Districts in the 5, just on percentage. Peel Thunder have been an improved side off the back of not winning a game last year. So they got East Perth this week, which they'll fancy themselves as a win against a team who sits below them.
Massive game, that one, no doubt about that. And just before we do chat with Shannyn Pomersbach, we did have the Under-18 Championship opener against South Australia and a mixed bag for the WA teams.
Yeah, it was a great performance from the boys, obviously beating the reigning champs in South Australia by 12 points. South Australia came back and threatened to steal it off us, but it was James Artemis, bottom 8 shark, who kicked the winning goal to seal it in the end. And then, unfortunately, the girls couldn't quite back it up in South Australia. Pretty dominant effort by the South Australians in the end, but they'll take some learnings into the next game. And, it was just great to see, I guess, a double header, 18s and 18s back to back, because it's not always the case with, I guess, the women's draft, a fair while after the boys draft.
Great showcase it is of the best talent in West Australia, and of course South Australia on Saturday. How about that Cam Maynard celebration after a goal? That is certainly going to be one of the celebrations of the year. Speaking of celebrating, South Fremantle, weren't they doing some celebrating on Saturday, because they had trailed with seconds remaining against West Perth at Fremantle Oval on Saturday until Shannyn Pomersbach bobbed up and kicked the winning goal right before the siren. And she joins us here on Around the Waffle to chat about that dramatic win. Hello, Shannyn.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Great to have you on the show. Can we call you match winner Pomersbach from now on, because you were the hero of the hour for South Fremantle off the back of some exciting action over there at Fremantle Oval, because the goal came after a 50-metre penalty. Did you know that a 50-metre penalty was paid? Did you feel that there was something there?
Probably didn't see it myself, but heard a few cheers from the crowd and a few of the girls. So I thought. I heard the whistle as well. So, yeah, I definitely felt the 50-metre penalty. And looking back at the footage, it was a surreal moment, I think. It came off the back of a huge team play to get the ball inside our 50 and was just lucky enough to get on the end of it. So, yeah, really happy to get that win.
And it wasn't just a standalone performance from you. You've kicked 17 goals in 10 games. How have you seen your own season playing, that deep forward role, playing a bit of ruck when you need to as well? But, you've certainly made an impact on the scoreboard.
Yeah, just really enjoying my footy. It's an awesome group to be a part of. I think, we're really connected and we're a really competitive group. And I think we really just drive and motivate each other to get better every day. And it's just awesome to be a part of. I think it's obviously a massive commitment playing WAFL W, but I think when you enjoy it this much, it's easy to, be excited for game day and just want to get out there and play for the team and just get better.
And after that 1-point loss to East Fremantle, you've really turned it around. Has that been a bit of a learning, I guess, close games experience? You take a lot out of them, regardless of whether you win or lose. But feels like you've, I guess, turned the tide a little bit in recent weeks after that derby.
Yeah, I think, the losses especially have motivated us to improve across all 4 quarters. I think when we're playing our brand of footy, we look really dangerous and competitive. So I think for us, the focus is on doing that consistently throughout the game. And the competition is just so even. You can't afford to lose focus for any part of the game. We'll take confidence from the close win and a lot of learnings from the close losses too, to just keep building our momentum through the next 6 home and away games.
And your team football has gotten better and better throughout the second half of the season. There's always been a lot of talk where, when star players arrive in the team. Obviously, Ash Gomes only had 11 disposals, but, you didn't really have to rely on Gomes' input in the midfield because you had plenty of stars. Mulder with 23 and a couple of others, Cronin, Evans getting amongst the leading possession getters. It's good to, have that collective sort of method of playing your football because you're playing as more of a collective unit in the second half of the season when a push for the 4 is looking very likely.
Yeah, I think, it's a really good culture. I think we really just are really focused on playing our role, and I think all of us are pretty have bought into that. And yeah, obviously Ash Gomes, she had her 150th, so it was awesome to get the win for her, and she's been so great for us and such a massive influence for me, and just her work ethic and her work rate. So yeah, it was really good to get the win for her. But yeah, our midfield is absolutely stacked. You mentioned TJ and, the likes of Tash and Maddie, who are also across from East Freo. They've been pivotal this season and just been, absolutely incredible at training and on game day. So definitely learning a lot from them, and they're still so young too. So it's awesome to see how much talent we have from the younger girls as well.
Shannyn, superb win on the weekend. Keep that push for the 4 going. You've got a big test coming up against Swan Districts. All the very best on Sunday. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
That was, of course, Shannyn Pomersbach joining us here on Around the Waffle, and still feeling the high after being the match winner over there at Fremantle Oval on Saturday. Let's now get to the Round 11 recap. Yes, Round 11, well into the second half of the season, and the fight for the 4 is well and truly on after a couple of shock results over the weekend, starting out, not least of which, the one that you were at, Rothy. And I feel a bit concerned for you because you went through the gamut in the last quarter. But the Demons, their first win over Subiaco by 4 points, 5-8 to 5-4. Rothy, this game certainly had everything. It was a grind, plenty of contested footy, and then it all came down to one kick with 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, it was chaos. There was probably a minute or so chewed off the clock because the umpires didn't know what was happening, the players didn't know what was happening, and then a free kick top of the goal square for Subiaco. Unfortunately, Carrie Plummer couldn't quite convert, but you can't put it down to obviously just her for what people might say is not being able to win the game. Obviously she would have liked that moment again, but I think Perth, to be honest, they were in the box seat all day, and yeah, they would have been really disappointed if they didn't come away with it because I just thought they were the better team, and Subiaco did well enough to stay in there and create opportunities, but I think, yeah, Perth, a young side as well, you could definitely tell in the coach's box that they were absolutely thrilled to get the win. Considering that they were without Poppy Stockwell, who got picked up by Hawthorn in the AFLW for this season, the fact that they still have some connectivity in that forward line, even without Poppy, but also great work in the midfield to deliver the ball inside 50, really is a testament to not only what Steph Wadling can do as coach when throwing the magnets around when faced with this situation, but these players are living up to their roles. Shannyn, Trindade, who were both terrific. Holly Britton also, and Molly Warren with 35 hitouts. They're just getting better and better as the season goes on. And to claim a scout like Subiaco, who were in the finals last year, that's a bit of a statement. Yeah, it was. And I think I was really impressed by Isla Baldwin's performance as well. Just gave him a lot of drive through the midfield, and the whole team really. Sienna Timmins did have 4 goals kicked on her, but 3 of them were for 50-metre penalties. To Courtney Lingren, who kicked 4 goals in the end. So Timmins did really well. Took a really good mark late in the game, which allowed some valuable seconds to be taken off the clock. And they got a good mixture of experience, likes of House, Gooch, and White for the experience, but then also good to see the likes of Green kick a goal first in WAFL W, Alyssa Smolgevic coming over from South Fremantle from last year. So they got a good blend, I think. And good to see Caitlin Cox out there as well, who club debut for Subiaco, former Richmond player, and was about 10 weeks after she met Subiaco again in her second game. Absolutely, and got the chocolates on that occasion. But as for Subiaco, that's a loss that they could not have afforded to have, especially against a side like Perth, who are still developing, but they're improving, and their experience. Okay, Steen was very good. Boss was also very good. Petrevsky was also very good. Paige Shepherd with 38.
but they just didn't make the most of their second efforts in front of goal. Think about it. They trailed by 2 goals at half time, and then obviously we don't want to put it on, but that Carey Plummer miss, always you got to have those little contributing factors when it comes to a result like that. And a 4-point loss to Perth, obviously it wasn't a big loss, but it does do their top 4 chances more harm than good.
Yeah, it does. A couple of 50 gamers, Eva Popovsky and also Charlotte Tompkin couldn't quite get the win for them. But yeah, I thought Subiaco still had some winners on the day. I thought Dana Lee's very underrated in the fullback position, just does her role and can take some really good marks and holds up in that sort of goalkeeper role on the last line of defence. But yeah, Subiaco, I think, look, they haven't been, we can't sugarcoat, they haven't been the same side as they were last year. And
not since they lost Olivia Warmerans, I'll say.
And Olivia Crane throw into that mix as well. And yeah, I mean, it was probably always going to be a challenge for them. They didn't do a heap of recruiting because they did the year before with like Lisa Steen and Paige Shepherd, who continue to step up and lead from the front in their second years. But
I think they recruited a year too far ahead with that point that you made. You've got to always look at it year by year. And I think they went too far ahead because they've got a lot of experience and now they're not being as dominant as they were last year.
Yeah, and Courtney Lingard's done a really good job to step up to that forward role, and she gives them a really good target up there. But they're also losing likes of, at the moment, Layla Schofield, who gives them another look. So they've got some challenges there, but they've also got some players stepping up. And the season's alive for them. So I think looking at the positives, the season is still alive, and they've probably just got to win more of these games than not.
They certainly will need to. They need to get some big wins, and they'll need to right now because before you know it, there's only 6 rounds remaining after this coming week. Swan Districts, they won't have such worries either, but I'll tell you what, they went up against a very spirited East Perth at Steel Blue Oval on Saturday, but the Swans got up by 16 points in the end, 7-4 to 4-6. And I'll say, despite being only 1 goal 5 to half time, the way East Perth applied themselves in the second half should not be taken for granted. They lost no friends as a result.
Yeah, they matched it up for Swan Districts for a large portion. I mean, they were in front. They kept Swan Districts scoreless at quarter time, believe it or not. And then Swan Districts found their groove a little bit. But yeah, as you said, East Perth, they're showing that they can match it with the better teams. And Swan Districts, it's an interesting one. I know they had that massive win over Peel, but they're not really belting sort of the lower teams, but then they're beating teams sort of more around them comfortably, if that makes sense.
That's a good point that you make. Yeah, even with the star-studded players, even with the star-studded players they've got, they're fine-tuning a lot of these youngsters because they want to find the perfect balance come finals time because they'll make the 4. There's no mistake about that. They'll make the 4. They've been dominant in the competition, but they don't want to take their foot off the gas at this stage in the season because there's still plenty of football to go. And the 16-point margin may not have been convincing, but the way they got into the groove in the second quarter really was first class, especially with Henry, Barros, who was among the dominant players in the ruck, Ford, Sharp, Yaron also were among the key weapons along with Taylor Edwards. But, regardless of the margin, their players got into the groove when needed.
Yeah, they did. And, that's all they need to do. I mean, you just got to bank these wins at the end of the day. They've really set up themselves for a really strong finish to the season as well. And they're sort of a team that probably plays better when they need to, if that makes sense, with all due respect to East Perth. But yeah, I thought the likes of Lucy Greenwood stepped up for East Perth. Jamie Henry continued to do Jamie Henry things. Up forward, good to see the likes of Sharp and Edwards continue their goal-kicking ways, and it was a total team performance, even if it was a low-scoring game.
Don't forget Brooke Edwards in the ruck as well for East Perth, 32 hit-outs and had a couple of disposals, good follow-up work as well. She really held her own against the likes of Tamsin Barros in the ruck.
Yeah, she did, and we spoke to her a few weeks ago, obviously, and I think it's just more than the results at the moment for East Perth that they have to have that sort of long-term approach with.
It certainly does, but Swan Districts in the end, they got the result they wanted, 16 points over East Perth, and then we go to Fremantle Oval. Well, what drama, what excitement in this contest over at Fremantle Oval. It was a real close one, and Ash Gomes, the Bulldogs star, got to celebrate her 150th as a winner, but only just 6-3 to 5-6, and of course it was Shannyn Pomersbach who got that goal just before the siren and cued hysteria at Fremantle Oval.
Yeah, celebrating Ash Gomes in the way that she deserves to be celebrated, even if she just her first season at the club. She's still a club great, you could say, in a season number
WAFL W great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, very, very long, distinguished career that no doubt has still some chapters left to be written. And they're celebrating in style. West Perth probably favourites coming into this game, but South Fremantle sort of spoiled the part a little bit, even if it was a home game.
They had 10 more inside 50s, West Perth. They took less disposals to get a goal, and they took less disposals per scoring shot, and they still lost the game. I would say West Perth, regardless of how the 50-metre penalty was construed, if there was one, if there wasn't one there, they blew that game, if I'm being honest, because I spoke with one of their players the morning after the match. They were incensed, knowing that was a game that they should have won, and now they're going to have to keep on winning because it's going to be a lot harder for West Perth now to make the 4 as a result of this defeat.
Yeah, and that's sort of West Perth. That's what West Perth have been a little bit, and even South Fremantle to an extent. they put these big performances on the board and you think, wow, they've sort of arrived, and then they have a loss like this, and it's just like, I don't want to say it's the definition of a mediocre team. That's not what I mean, but it sort of does separate you. You need to be able to...
up and down.
It is very inconsistent, but we know, obviously, teams change week to week, so it can't be too harsh. But, yeah, these two teams have been pretty evenly matched, and it could come down to one of these two teams to make up the four, and, who knows what this result will do to that.
These teams could even battle for fourth place because, obviously, East Fremantle, who had the bye this week, are starting to show their true colours in 2026. Newson in the ruck, 32, very impressive. So too Talia Mulder. That was one of the more better games of this season, Mulder, with 23 disposals and 8 great marks as well.
Yeah, coming back into the lineup in recent times, so find a little bit to find her groove, but she played AFLW for a reason. She's the reigning best and fairest winner for a reason, so should be no great surprise. And if they can get her playing best to her, near best to her footy towards the back end, and that's going to free up the likes of Entwistle and company, because she's probably been carrying a bit too much of the burden.
Jess Roper with 19 for West Perth, and Ellie McAvoy, she was the leading ball getter for West Perth. Very steady on her feet and very good effective user of the footy.
Yeah, speaking of best and fairest, I reckon she's right up there for West Perth.
I think so.
Obviously Irish recruit, so she's really made her mark on this competition in a short period of time.
Good Irish stock making great impact over there at West Perth, but the Bulldogs, they got the result and they're still in the fight for a spot in the 4. No real worries for Claremont on Saturday as well. The reigning premiers, they got the job done, but Peel Thunder challenged them for a little bit. In the end, the second half was all Claremont. Their second half was a 7-goal to 1 second half, and they ultimately ended up winning by a massive 54 points, 13-10, 88 to 5 for 34. And even without Juliet Kelly, who got picked up by the Adelaide Crows, Claremont's depth is still second to none. Think about this, Harkin with 40 disposals, Green with 27, Viney with 20, and Husband with 42 in the ruck. And lest we forget Beck Anderson's 3 goals, Claremont's still very strong despite losing Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was always going to be a tough task for a Peel Thunder side, even if it was at home. But Claremont just went down there and made not that they needed to make a statement, but did what they needed to do by a comfortable margin, easily the most comfortable for the weekend for the competition. So you look at all the key stats, Claremont won it comfortably, and their players really went to work as was probably expected.
Absolutely. Jack Schwartz, said this is a lower ranked team, but you've got to still get the task done, and that's the standards that he has set at the Claremont Football Club since being coach starting a few years ago. But Peel Thunder, to their credit, at half-time they were only a couple of goals down. They started to show what they can bring. They've got great potential through their young players. It can't be all just Chloe Wrigley. It was Gracie Fenton who was leading the charge with 26 disposals, 13 tackles for Chloe Wrigley, but they played very good in tandem in midfield, and I reckon if they can play a more connected brand the way they did on Saturday, it could bode well for Peel long term.
Yeah, there's always positives to take out of it as well. Wrigley did her best. She had 23 disposals and also 13 tackles. She did it offensively and defensively as well. The likes of Collard, hit the scoreboard. Bartlett as well. There's positives to be taken, but it's night and day between where these sides are at. We know that, and Claremont just continued to set the benchmark.
Harkin had a bit of a tough start of the season, but in the last 4 games, I've really been impressed with how she's got back into that typical trademark Jamie Harkin brand of football.
Yeah, she doesn't need to, but it's nice when she does. It's nice for Jack Schwartz to be able to, for her to just go to work basically, and I don't want to say wind back the clock, but just I guess do what she's been doing ever since that state game. It was really the catalyst for her, wasn't it? Ever since that state game, she's just gone from strength to strength, despite not really needing to. I think there'd be a lot of players out there who would be happily to hang up the boots. She's achieved everything, but she wants to add another premiership to her already full trophy cabinet.
I think you hit the nail on the head. That state game was the catalyst for that great turnaround in form, and since then it has been nothing but brilliant for Jamie Harkin. Let's go to the ladder. After round 11 of the ATCO WAFL W Premiership has been completed, Swan Districts are on top. There's still a win ahead of Claremont. East Fremantle are in 3rd, and South Fremantle have jumped up to 4th out of the blue. West Perth down in 5th as a result. Perth in 6th, then Subiaco, East Perth, and Peel Thunder rounding out the WAFL W ladder. Okay, Rothy, your task is upon you. The round 11 votes.
The round 11 votes as follows. So in the 1 vote position, Becky Anderson from Claremont. She's leading goal kicker in the competition, kicked another 3 on the day, but it's her versatility. She can play deep forward, she can ruck, she can do it all. Really good mark on her, and can do it at ground level as well. So I think come finals time, Becky Anderson, who didn't play in the premiership last year, can add them a real point of difference up there. 2 votes, all too familiar with her name on this show, Jamie Henry with the 2 votes for Swan Districts. Not her most complete game in terms of disposals, but
still got it done.
Yeah, still got it done, and I think there'd be a lot of motivation for her before this. But seeing someone like someone like a Juliet Kelly get an opportunity, of course, she'd be happy for a fellow state teammate. But I think it would just fuel the fire to be like, what more do I have to do? Taking away nothing from Juliet Kelly, of course, but what more do I have to do? And I'm going to make my mark once it comes around. 3 votes from Subiaco. Paige Shepherd had close to 40 disposals as well. Speaking about Subiaco's best and fairest, I think she'd be leading it by a fair way at the moment, to be honest. And couldn't have done much more. And her skills have improved, I think, and able to hit those short kicks and really show the composure when she needs to. 4 votes from South Fremantle. Talia Mulder, we sung her praises. Got the job done. Was a real difference maker. 23 disposals and a goal. The former Docker. So coming into some of her best work and, I guess from a teammate perspective, frees them up a little bit. And then we just spoke about Jamie Harkin. She comes through with 5 votes for Claremont, 40 disposals. And, again, she's at the pointy end of this award. And I'm sure some Daraku medal votes would be coming her way from round 11.
I think it certainly will. Great selections there, Rothy. How does the leaderboard shape up after 11 rounds?
Still a fair way between Jamie Henry on 32 votes to the next best. Paige Shepherd now up to 15 in the second position. Third is Juliet Kelly, of course we won't see the remainder of, which is a good thing for her sake, considering she's been picked up by an AFLW club in the form of the Crows. Jamie Harkin's up there now with 9 votes to be in 4th position. Noah McNaughton, again, we won't see much of her, or any of her, I should say. And then, the rest is the likes of McKinnon, Sergeant Wilson, Stockwell, Wrigley and Anderson. So even Stockwell, we won't see some. So I guess, players performing, they're getting picked up, they're getting snapped up by AFLW clubs. 3 of the players there have. So I guess, how many more could it be?
It may be, and dare I say it, the top 2 might be the 2 only realistic contenders, maybe, for the Player of the Year, but we never know. There's still another 7 rounds remaining in the ATCO WAFLW season. One more break, and when we do come back, the top 3 players of the week. One of those players spreads concern for my colleague over here. Stay where you are. We'll be back after this.
Take it from me, great things happen at the Waffle.
Valentine rides and goals.
With free entry for kids, future stars on the ground, and a kick to kick at every break. The Waffle is where footy memories start and legends are made. Follow the Waffle on socials or get to a game.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Car Stereo Morley, proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years, selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems, stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley, or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
You're back with us here on Around the Waffle, your Monday night recap show. Paul Persick and Ethan Roth with you as we wrap things up today, Rothy, with the top 3 plays of the week. We start off with number 3 and Lockie Payton. He'd been up and down this season, but his first half was incredibly special. 3 goals he kicked, and his father was watching on as well. Of course, they spent a bit of time at West Perth as well. I spoke with him before the game and after the game. He was very impressed with his son's performance. 3 goals and ended up with 5 for the game.
How good's that? And he performed on the final stage last year to really be a key contributor to Perth breaking that duck. And if they can get anywhere near back his best, then he's a real beneficiary to that forward line.
Number 2. And I've got concerns for this man right here. We go to the goal, the kick for goal, Harry Plummer, Subiaco. From 2 steps out, point-blank range, and misses. rumour has it that you, my good friend, absolutely lost control of everything that was within you, and let's just say you could not speak for more than 5 seconds. Is that true?
Maybe inside, but obviously maybe deep inside. But I had to obviously keep my cool and continue on, and I'm glad I did because it was a pleasure to be able to call Perth's finish to that game, their first win ever over Subiaco. But yeah, again, as we said off the top, can't put the finger on one person, and yeah. I mean, she won't be the last person to miss a goal to win the game.
I'm just glad your head has stayed on, because if I saw a miss like that, my head would explode. No offence, but we both react to misses very differently. And number one, we love a screamer. Brad Lynch, he took off. He tried to take a leaf out of William Reedy's book.
Yeah, he's got good hops on him, and those two might be in a little bit of a debate over who's the better mark, but
might be those at training, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure they're practicing them, but be able to put them in use in a game is another thing. So it was a real hanger at Bassendean, and William Reedy, we'll have to wait and see if he can back that up. Not that he needs to, but he'll back it up at some point.
He'll back
Whether
it up,
it's
mate.
this year or next year, we'll have to wait and see. But either way, he's right in the category for the mark of the year.
I still think he's in front. That mark in round 6, I still think he's in front. But he's got competition from Angus Lewis after the WA Day round. That is it for today's recap show. Rothy, great job as always. You're down in Mandurah for the Colson League game. Peel Thunder and East Perth, the League One in particular. That is going to be a biggie.
Yeah, should be good, obviously. Called the game last year, which was a good game, and East Perth, from memory, came away with the Chockies. So Peel Thunder, they're always dangerous at home, and with a Freo line side, they'll be strong, no doubt. But East Perth, they didn't reach the last two grand finals for a reason, so should be a cracker.
Yeah, absolutely. All the best for the long trip south. Keep your voice intact as well, because it's a big weekend for you. And we look forward to your company on Thursday for our Around the Waffle preview show. We look ahead to round 12 of the ATCO WAFL W and round 11 of the Sullivan Logistics WAFL Premiership season. You can check out all our content on Facebook and Instagram for our Player of the Year leaderboards, ladders, and who we've got coming on as preview co-host, and of course our guests on the Thursday preview show as always. Don't forget, we are backed by wonderful support from the likes of Grants Car Stereo, Front Row Screen Sports, Sullivan Logistics and District Promotions. Have a wonderful Monday night, enjoy the rest of the week, and we look forward to seeing you here on Thursday for our massive preview show as we get to the second half of the season.